Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0 and fans, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer. Guys, welcome to episode 50 of the countdown. That's right, everybody. It's hard to believe that I've done 50 of these videos already, but yes, this is episode number 50, and today we're going to get started. We have a total of 13 comics altogether. 11 of them are physical copies and 2 are digital. So with that being said, let's get started with episode 50. And number 13 is One Hit Wonder issue number 1 from Image Comics. Now, I saw this today, or I saw this digitally, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? It's a new Image book. I gotta see what this one is about. Well, guys, I'm just telling you right now, please skip it. This is a book that has very little plot in it. It's a cheap type of plot. The artwork is not my style of artwork here, and I think it, tries to sell you on cheap sex, like topless women and things like that. And I just thought it was one of those issues that I have no desire to actually read ever again. Basically, what it is, it's about this actor who does unpredictable things while he's on set, but he poses as this like double agent or whatnot, and I didn't like it. And he was supposed to sent out to kill this particular girl in here that screwed one of his business partners or whatnot, and he's supposed to go after this girl, and he spends the whole issue chasing after her, and he winds up like crashing his car into a pool, and the girl's like, stay away from me, and she winds up rescuing his life when she could have just killed him right there and then. I thought the plot was weak. I thought the artwork was weak. I thought the book was stupid. The concept was stupid, and I just didn't enjoy it. And I will not be reading issue number 2. Just a really weak type of story. I just didn't like it. So there was number 13. Ridiculous. Stay away from that issue. Now, if you like that series or that first issue, please let me know, but I did not like that book whatsoever. So, with that being said, we're going to go on to number 12. And number 12 was The Flash, issue number 28, Possessed by Dead Men. Now, for me, I didn't like this story. I just really didn't. It's not my cup of tea. Nothing against Dead Man fans or anything like that, but I just found myself pushing through this issue, not finding it very interesting. The artwork here by Patrick Zurcher is his name. I did find it. The artwork was very well done. Great details, great page, 2-page spreads here. But I think this whole story with the Flash going after these bloodline of, I think their name was the Fletchers, because he was a coal miner that got left in the coal mines and starved to death, and he's after all the people to kill all the Fletcher bloodline. I just didn't find it really that interesting, and it's not a type of story that I like from Flash. I like it a little bit better when he's more upbeat, more going, I guess. A little bit more action. There was lots of dialogue in this issue, which is nothing wrong with it, but when it's a story that is not interesting for the reader, it's really a chore. So I didn't really like this issue. I do know that some people did, but for me personally, I really didn't like it, and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. So with that being said, we're going to go on to number 11. And number 11 was the Guardians of the Galaxy issue number 12. That's right. You know what? The Trial of Green Jean Grey is on part 4 of 6. And, I don't find this story all that great. I thought the first issue was phenomenal. I thought, the last issue was pretty good when you got the Guardians meeting up with, the X-Men and them. The dialogue between each other was really good. But I didn't find the second issue of this that great either. Just seeing the other point of view of when they tried to get Jean Grey before she got taken over. There was some good moments in this particular issue when you get to see who is it, Scott and I think it's Alex. They actually are brothers, and their mom is buckling them, and they eject out of an airplane. You get to see them real young when they were kids. And then you get to see some good moments here between, Scott and his father. And you also get to see some pretty awesome moments here between X-23 and young Scott too, when they shared a nice little hug, and she felt that he needed it. But when it really comes to the Jean Grey part with the whole trial thing, I find myself disinterested in it, and I find it very boring. And for some reason, I thought I would be more into it, but I really almost don't care. I kind of just want this to get on and over with, and see where we go from here. Now, the artwork is cool. I like the artwork. I think it's very well done. And, what's the outcome of all this? What is next for Jean Grey? I don't know. We know that Scott Summers is getting his own book going with his father, but I really didn't get anything here. It wasn't really that enjoyable for me. And, same thing. I'm going to give this one, 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's not doing it for me. I thought this would be a better, more stronger series, and I'm expecting a lot more from this. So that's what we got. We got that as number 11. Now we're moving on, and we move on to number 10. And number 10 is Wolverine issue number 2. The only reason why I picked this issue up is because it had Superior Spider-Man in it, and then it had, of course, Ryan Stegman's art into it. However, even though with Spider-Man in this particular issue, I didn't like it. I just don't like this series. And I don't like the characters that are in the series. I don't like the offer. I don't like it. I see how at the end of this issue you get Superior Spider-Man throwing Wolverine off the roof. And, again, there's great art in here and things like that, but I can't even tell you what it was really about, because it was one of those issues that I'm like, okay, who cares? I really don't. There's some dialogue between Wolverine and Superior, and I don't know. I just didn't like it, and I'm not going to be collecting this series anymore. And it was rough for me too. The only thing that this book I feel has going for it is the artwork. 2.5 out of 5 for me. So next we move on, and we go on to number 9, and number 9 was Hawkeye, issue number 15. Now it's good to see Hawkeye back in here. He's got the bros, the track star bros in here, going after him, and you get to see Clint's brother team up with him as well, which is Barney, I think is his name. Yeah, Barney Barton. You get to see David Age's art back in here, which was good to see again. And it was nice to see Wolverine back, and I like the humor that's in the actual issue too, as well. He makes them pretend that the track star bros are sitting there always thinking that they're doing this magic trick, and they scream out Barney, and then Barney comes out and he starts kicking their ass. I thought it was cool. There's a humor in here with Black Widow as well when they meet up with each other. But then you get to the main crime boss in here that has to take out Clint. We know he's that guy, the clown guy with the little tear on there that killed what was his name, Grill or whatever it was. And it's all because of the shopping center that they're trying to build here, and Clint actually owns this building, and obviously he's the landlord, and it's the only building that they have left. So they're trying to get him to knock off Clint. And when we get to the end of the issue, you're left with a pretty good cliffhanger here when it comes to Clint and Barney actually getting practically picked off. So I don't know what happens there. So it left you at a good cliffhanger. I enjoyed this. Was it the best issue of Hawkeye I've ever read? No. It's been a long time since we've seen a Clint story, and I am happy he is back. And I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. This was average for me. It wasn't the best, but it was good. All right, so moving forward, we're going to go on to number 9, and number 9 is Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy's The Wake. Yeah, The Wake hasn't been around in forever, and I was happy just to see it back. But when you pick up the book, you sit here and you read it for the first time in a long time, and you're like, dude, this is like a completely different series from what I read in the last issue as of issue 5. It has a totally different tone to it now. It's 200 years sent back into the future. You see a descendant of Leeward, and you get to see what the world is like today, 200 years later, and you get to see that they have somewhat a control of these mer creatures. We see that government has a reservoir for fresh water. You get to see what the land is like because the ice caps have flooded. And, it was quite interesting to see what they do with the mer heads, because since they can paralyze or make someone dream, they use the venom from them, from the sacks, and they actually sell it black market to get people high. I thought that was pretty interesting too. You get to see what the world is like today. You get to see here on the top how the world is, and then on the bottom you get to see what it's like today. So there's no Florida, there's hardly any California, and it was quite interesting to see where this series is actually going to go from here. The only thing I didn't find that was great was I didn't care for the government people that were in here, and they threw in a lot of terminology. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? What is all this government stuff? But by the end of the issue, you find out coming out that there's a specific, I guess, piece that Leeward had, and it winds up saying that my name is Dr. Lee Archer. I'm alive down here, and I can tell you how to save the world. So is this the past Dr. Archer? So I have no idea. Really interesting book. I like this one. Even though it's like a different tone, it's not as horrific. It goes into the future or whatnot. I still liked it, and it has me intrigued. So I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So next we move on, and we're going to go on to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, number 7. And number 7 is George Romero's Empire of the Dead, issue number 2. Now, I decided to give this one a try, and guys, I apologize if you hear all this crazy background noise. People are cutting the lawn, cutting trees, starting cars. Like, it's never this busy outside, but it's drawing a lot of noise, so I apologize for that. Anyway, George Romero's Empire of the Dead. Yeah, this book was quite interesting. I liked it. You get to see how these zombies fight against each other, how the population draws its entertainment. There's specific zombies and things like that. I liked it, in the beginning, because people bet on them and they make money to see how long a specific zombie can live. The only thing that this series actually, for me, has a downfall is the artwork. The artwork is so dark and so sketchy at times, and lots of inks. It's actually hard to make out who the characters are. You get lost in there. But the main scientist here, which is Penny, wants to study this zombie right here, which is Xavier. And she was a former SWAT team that keeps everything in track. But she is an actual zombie now, but Penny wants to actually take her and study her because it's like embedded into her brain that, she has to save people, which I thought was interesting. And then you get to see like how the zombie sees on the through her eyes, and it looks like this. So that was quite interesting too. You learn more about this mayor which his name is Mayor Chandrake, and then he has a nephew, which is Bill. And this mayor is covering up for his nephew because he is a vampire, and people don't really know that they're vampires and that they actually also kind of control these zombies as well. So, it's an interesting book. I'm going to continue reading it because it's a little bit different from like The Walking Dead. It's original, and I want to see how these zombies and vampires eventually, one's going to have to go, and they're going to figure out who the mayor is and how corrupt he is and things like that. So, interesting story. I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So next, moving on, we're going to go on to number 6, and number 6 is, just give it a second to come up, it is Revenge, issue number 1. Now, this book right here, let me just tell you, everyone, this book right here is one sick and twisted book. When you open up the pages in this book, you come up to a specific procedure that is taking place, and a guy is physically getting his face removed. And when you open up to that, you're sitting there going, holy crap, what the hell is this book about? When you're flipping through pages, you're going to be dumbfounded because it's got some crazy art. There's lots of sex. There's lots of gore. I mean, honestly, guys, this is a book for mature readers only, and that's by far. It's about this old actor. He's 73 years old. He came up with this movie. It's called Revenge, and it's been rebooted, and he still plays in the movie, which is interesting. And his name is Griffin Franks, and they rebooted the movie. It's a huge success. There's a contract to be done for a 3-picture deal. It's going to make tons of money, and what happens is his wife persuades him to go through this crazy surgery in a night of passion because he's very weary about doing the knife thing, and he goes to this special doctor, and he's getting his face removed while awake. And this whole thing is a setup by his wife so she can divorce him and get all his money, which I thought was interesting. But he plays the Revenger in the movie. That's his character who he plays, and he swears by the end of this procedure that is getting done on him that he's going to get revenge on his wife and on his wife's lover and things like that. And the reason why his wife is going after him like this is because he screwed her mother when she was a little girl, which I thought was very interesting. The artwork is done really well in the book. It's done with lots of detail. Again, there's lots of things that are for mature readers in here. But the book doesn't rely. I mean, yes, there is lots of sex and things like that. But the book tells a really great story here about someone who has been bad his whole life and trying to get better as he gets older, but his wife really screws him up, and he looks like this at the end of the issue once his face is torn off. I just thought, it's a really weird book, but you got to read it to really appreciate what it is and what this woman went through and why she's doing this to her husband. I thought it was very interesting. And while his face is getting removed and he's going through this procedure, you see flashbacks of his life. So this was a really interesting, really original book by Image Comics. If there's a book that I give you guys to suggest that you're looking for something different, go ahead and check out Revenge issue number 1. The reason why it is number 6 and the reason I've given it a 3.5 out of 5 stars is because this might be a book that's not for everybody because of the nudity, because of the graphic violence and the language in here. But if you bypass that and you look at the story, it's a really good story. All right, so next we're going to go on to number 5, and number 5 is Cataclysm: The Ultimate's Last Stand, issue number 5. That's it, guys. This is the end of Cataclysm, and let me just tell you that this was a book that I kind of thought would have, I don't know, I liked it. I thought it was really good, but I thought it would have more of an impact of an ending. Maybe it's because we knew that the Ultimate Comics is coming back, If we didn't have that, I think maybe this would have been a better ending. But just like how it ended in the last issue, we see Captain America sacrifice himself. The plan is in motion for Reed Richards, to make Kitty Pryde, huge and take out Galactus. And the plan was in place, and you get to see that here. She goes and she becomes big, and she starts doing this huge battle by phasing through Galactus. The artwork is done real well here by Bagley, and Reed is telling her to think of everybody that you love, and go through with it. So I thought it was really nice. There's great 2-page spreads in here of them doing a battle. But as you're reading the issue, the whole thing was that the ultimate plan was for Reed to actually open up the negative zone and suck up Galactus. And it was it was all intention to suck up Galactus, but Kitty Pryde was probably going to get sucked up as well. And by the time you get to the end of this book, you see a specific hero make his return, and that return is Thor. So Thor comes in and he kind of finishes up the job and knocks Galactus into the negative zone. And as the negative zone is actually closing up, Kitty Pryde winds up escaping, and Galactus and Thor wind up being stuck in there together. So we don't know what happens to them. We don't know if they're going to come back, and we don't know what's going on. But it does look like for now Captain America is dead, because Storm wound up finding his shield, and we get to see this at the end holding the shield, which I thought was a nice page. The sunset is there, everything is back to normal, and it just says next is survive, and it does an advertisement for March with the all new Ultimate Universe. And I thought this was a good book. However, it was lots of action, but it wound up being very predictable in the end, and there was no great satisfaction going, wow, I can't believe this happened. What's going to happen next? And being that we already know what's happening, it kind of took the impact away from me. And again, it was just this big battle between Kitty Pryde and Galactus that sent them back. So all the other issues I thought were better than this, but same thing. I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we're going to go on to number 4, and number 4 is The Walking Dead, issue number 122, All Out War. Now, this book was really well done and well written, because it's something that The Walking Dead does so well, and it has lots of character development, and this issue did. This was the low, I thought, between what's going to happen now. We're getting where we at? Issue 8. I feel that issue 9, 10, 11, 12 are just going to go balls to the wall with lots of action. This issue basically gives up a lot of information with Dwight, with Eugene, how Dwight is working with Rick. We get to see that there's other people that want to go against Negan. You get to see great dialogue and narration between Andrea and Rick, on how they're living at the hilltop now and they're taking in the other community. You get to see more interaction between Heath and the new doctor, on what the old doctor meant to Heath, on how they were together. You found out, there's a huge thing, that Jesus is actually gay, and he has a companion by the name of Alex, which you never saw. You found out that Rosita and Olivia, had an interaction between each other, how Rosita kind of has feelings for Eugene. And you get to see Negan in this issue come up with this great master plan to get all their weapons gooed up with zombie gook, and all it needs is just one shot to hit somebody and a scratch to get them infected for them to become zombies. Really great stuff here. There's some things about possibly Rick getting a prosthetic for his stump, which I thought is really interesting. And you get to see everyone from the old community, from Alexandria, come into the hilltop. So there was lots of stuff going on in this issue. And by the time you get to the end of it, you see Negan just lurking right outside the hilltop, waiting to make another attack. So this is a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. All right, next we're going to go on to top 3. Top 3, number 3, and number 3 is The Superior Spider-Man, issue number 28. This book, you know, the last issue had lots of setup. This issue has lots of story and lots of questions to be answered by the time you got done reading this. And the most important thing in this issue that I think a lot of us were happy about was this one right here, Mary Jane. This was my favorite page in the book. She winds up getting some web shooters that she has locked up in the safe, and she winds up webbing some freaking goblin kids, which I thought was the best point of this book. But however, in this issue, you get to see the Goblin Nation attack Spider Island, since Superior wants nothing to do with Green Goblin. So right off the bat, you're just all kinds of action, just explosions all over the place. You see Superior trying to escape. You get to see Peter go through all these memories because he wanted to, you know, hide himself in Dr. Octopus's memories, and he's struggling to remember himself, which I thought was really cool. He's got a constant reminder: I'm Peter Parker. I'm Peter Parker. I'm not Dr. Otto Octavius. In the meantime, the Goblin and everybody else is going after Peter Parker's people and Dr. Otto Octavius' people. So he winds up getting Mary Jane. He winds up getting, you know, they're trying to get J. Jonah Sr. and Aunt May. And we get to see introduction to Spider Slayers. And there's just so much that goes on in this issue. I can't understand why, if you're a reader, you get a little bit overwhelmed, because there was so much in here. But again, you get to see the Wraith actually make her, you know, trying to battle here as well. So there was so much. Carly Cooper makes her appearance, and, you know, she winds up getting, you know, not controlled by the Goblin for a short time, trying to help Superior Spider-Man. So there was so much stuff in here. But however, it was a great issue, and I really enjoyed it. And at the end, you get to see Menace capture Anna Maria. There was just so many great character moments here, but the Mary Jane thing was phenomenal for me. And hopefully she's not dumb anymore, and she's come to her senses, and she'll play that wild card like she says she's going to be and screw up the Goblin's day. So this was a great issue. I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. So next we go on and we move on to number 2. And number 2 is Chew, issue number 40. I had lots of fun with this issue. This was just a book where you pick up and you read it and you laugh and you have great fun with it. In this particular issue of Chew, Chew winds up eating this plant that they grew that was from this island, and it makes you trip. I mean, seriously, makes you trip balls. Seriously, okay? And but it was a way for him to see his sister again, Antonelle, and to have a longer discussion with him, because he's a kybopath. He eats this stuff, and he finds out everything that happened to it. So somehow, some way, it relates back to his sister who got murdered by the vampire, which is called the Collector, who collects all the people that have these powers that eat things that are called paths or whatever they are. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a great issue. Anyway, he goes into this weird planet. She goes on to this discussion because she worked for NASA of everything that happened in this planet. But the guy is just tripping so hard. He thinks he's a flippin' rabbit. He goes around with Agent Colby. They have to go on this special mission to capture this pickle guy who creates these pickles, and they're so sour that they kill people, which is funny as hell. But in the meantime, like, they're going out on this job, he's tripping, and Kobe's like, well, is it safe to work? He's like, is it safe to work? And they're like, yeah, why not? So he goes ahead and he has this bite in here, and he's eating it. And throughout the whole issue, they're going out, out of town to do their mission and to stop this pickle guy. And they're like thinking that they're rabbits and all this stuff, and books are eating them. And it's just so funny. And it was to stop this pickle guy. He's a Peckolazoo Faber or whatever. And his pickles actually kill people. So throughout the issue, they think they're going to this place. And they think that they're doing battle against like army people, and they go against these pillow guys, and it was just hilarious. And then their sergeant winds up going saying, "You attacked the wrong place. You wound up going against these nappy pillow factory," and they're like, isn't this the pickle factory?" And he's like, "No, it's 16 miles that way," and he's like freaking out. And you're just like, oh my god, that's so funny. But by the end of the issue, you wound up just by luck. The guy was hiding chickens, and chickens are illegal because chickens cause the virus to kill people. And this guy had about 800,000 chickens that was confiscated in his thing because he was making pillows out of chicken feathers. So the FDA comes in and busts the guy and arrests him and all kinds of stuff. You get to see some great character moments here with Antonelle Chu, which again is his sister, wishing him good luck on how to stop the collector and whatnot. And it's just a great book, guys. This is a very fun read. There's all kinds of volumes in here, and this particular issue gave you a description of what each different type of ability that when people eat that they have. Like there's a Kaibopath, Sabo Screever, Kaibo Light Calculator, Unnamed Force. So there's all these different types of guys. And they all have these different powers. It's a fun read. I had a ball reading this particular issue. Great stuff. John Layman does a great job in writing this book. And I highly suggest it. Always do. And I'm giving this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Great issue. So last but not least, we have our #1 book of the week. And our #1 book of the week was Fantastic Four issue #1. Guys, I loved this issue. After I got done reading it and I did an in-depth review, of course, on this channel, I got a lot of comments that people said that they loved it. This was a great issue. Didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I loved every minute of it. I loved the art. I love the story. I love the direction. This is actually a Fantastic Four book that I'm going to read, and everyone had lots of great things about say about it. The only negative thing, of course, it's $3.99. But however, this book is written by James Robinson. James Robinson is writing. What did he write? He wrote Earth 2, and he's currently writing another book for Marvel, and I just dropped it because I didn't like that one. But I want to say it was Defenders. Oh, I don't remember what it was. But however, this issue was great. The artwork in here by Leonard Kirk is phenomenal. I didn't know what to think of these red costumes. But when I saw them, I thought, dude, that looks pretty badass. It gives them like a little bit more of an edge, I thought. And the artwork here makes them look serious. Big guns, stuff that you're used to seeing from the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards is scientific nerd, and it fits the character. Ben Grimm fit his character in here, just by going, oh, it's clobbering time. It just fit what the actual Fantastic Four is about. Johnny Storm is in character here. Sue, you got to see her as well. I thought she was in character as well. She loves her husband and whatnot. But the book opens up with Sue Storm just being, writing this letter saying, my son is a shell, or my husband is a shell of what he was. Ben Grimm is in prison. Johnny Storm, he's like partying up, living the life. So there's all kinds of things that are happening that has happened to the Fantastic Four, but we don't know yet. And in an issue, you get to see, of course, one last, I guess, real, battle with them together, all, perfect, lovey-dovey, missing Valeria and things like that because she went off, to do things on her own. And, it was a fun issue. I really liked it. And by the time you get to the end of the issue, you find out that Ben Grimm is with his old girlfriend. Johnny Storm signed this contract to go on tour. And you find out at the end that the Negative Zone has actually opened up. And it opened up to this, like all these creatures coming out of it. And what this is it represents the beginning of the end of the family. So now you get to see the journey on how this team has fallen apart, and that's why the title represents what's it called? The end of the Fantastic Four, or the fall of the Fantastic Four. Yeah, the fall of the Fantastic Four. I thought this was a great issue, and what made it so good was I didn't expect it to be so great. I loved it, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. Great story, great art. I'm digging the red costumes, so I enjoyed it a lot, and this gets a 5 out of 5 this week for me. So, guys, there you have it. There is the countdown for the week. You saw it. There was 13 books. You've seen the worst. You've seen the best. And guys, leave me your comments below what you thought was your favorite comic of the week and your worst comic of the week. And I hope you enjoyed episode 50 of the countdown. So guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until the next comic book review, everybody, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.